to City Council meeting for February 10th, 2026. To order. Can I have a roll call, please? Oh, pledge of allegiance, sorry.
Okay.
Skipping ahead.
I'll lead us in the pledge. Right hand over your heart and begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Mendez,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Garnica,
Present.
Councilmember Brogy,
Here.
Councilmember Villasenor,
Here.
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Here. Thank you. And number 4, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second.
I'll second.
We got a motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to number 5, presentations. So tonight we are going to do a couple of presentations. We're going to start off with item 5A, proclamation honoring the 116th anniversary of the Scouting and Cub Scout Pack number 3406. And I'm going to do them together if you don't mind. And also 5B, proclamation honoring the 116th anniversary of the Scouting and Scouting America Troop 406. So I will read the proclamation from here and then I will go down and so proclamation honoring the 116th anniversary of Scouting and Cub Scout Pack 3406. Whereas February 2026 marks the 116th anniversary of Scouting, a nationwide movement dedicated to building character, leadership, citizenship, and a spirit of service among youth. And whereas Cub Scout Pack 3406 has proudly served the city of Fillmore for 58 years, providing meaningful opportunities for young scouts to learn the values of teamwork, responsibility, and community involvement. And whereas Cub Scout Pack 3406 has actively contributed to the community through service projects, including scouting for food and a February food drive, participation in coastal cleanup efforts in September, and various service club trash pickups throughout the year. And whereas the PAC has demonstrated strong civic pride and respect for service members by participating in flag placement and Memorial Day ceremony at Bardsdale Cemetery in May, the Veterans Day Parade in November, and the Lions Club Christmas Parade in December. And whereas the volunteer leaders and families of Cub Scout Pack 3406 exemplify commitment, mentorship, and service, helping to instill lifelong values in Fillmore's youth. Now, therefore, I, Albert Mendez, Mayor of the City of Fillmore, does hereby proclaim February 2026 as a time to celebrate the 116th anniversary of Scouting and to recognize Cub Scout 3406 for its continued service, dedication, positive impact on the community. Be it further resolved that the City of Fillmore expresses its sincere appreciation to Cub Scout Pack 3406 for strengthening community spirit and preparing the next generation of responsible citizens. And I also want to mention that Troop 3406 is chartered by Fillmore Lions Club. Okay. Proclamation honoring the 116th anniversary of Scouting and Scouting America Troop 406, whereas February 2026 marks the 116th anniversary of Scouting and organizations founded on principles of leadership, service, citizenship, and respect for community and country. And whereas Scouting America Troop 406 has been an integral part of the city of Fillmore for 76 years, positively shaping generations of youth through service, leadership, development, and civic engagement. And whereas Troop 406 has demonstrated an enduring commitment to community service through activities including flag placement and participation in Memorial Day ceremony at Bardsdale Cemetery in May, coastal cleanup efforts in September, and an ongoing collection of worn and discarded flags for formal flag retirement ceremonies throughout the year. And whereas the troop has proudly represented the scouting movement and the city of Fillmore by presenting the colors at the alumni dinner in June and blue and white night parade in November, and by participating in the Veterans Day parade in November. And whereas members of Troop 406 have supported local organizations through volunteer service, including assistance at the Lions Club Enchilada dinner in November and participation in the Lions Club Christmas parade in December. And whereas the Scouts, leaders, and families of Troop 406 exemplified dedication, leadership, and service, reinforcing the values that strengthen the Fillmore community. Now, therefore, I, Albert Mendez, Mayor of the City of Fillmore, does hereby proclaim February 2026 as a time to recognize the 116th anniversary of Scouting and to honor Scouting America Troop 406 for its 76 years of exceptional service to the City of Fillmore. Be it further resolved that the City of Fillmore extends its heartfelt appreciation to Troop 406 for its longstanding commitment to service, leadership, and community pride. Thank you. And I mentioned earlier that Troop 406 is chartered by Fillmore's Lions Club, and Troop 3406 is chartered by the Fillmore Rotary Club. Thank you, Manny.
Yeah, I got it. Here, let me hold this for you.
Okay. Okay, have your proclamations here. Okay, I'm going to start. I have a list here. Yeah. Cub Scout Pack 3406 leaders, Cub Scout Sanford Sam. Den leader Nicholas Engelhart.
I'm sorry? I can't give you breads. Oh, that's okay. That's the first one I figured. All right, I'm gonna find yours. That's okay. I'll come and grab it. It's
Probably these are the proclamations. Cub Scouts, Ryan Peterson. Congratulations. Oh, tell me when you get to. Billy Bulkley. Okay. Zayden Stevens. Good job. Eli Slover. Congratulations. Bear Stevens. Salvador Cortez. Congratulations. Robert Resendez. Congratulations. Luke Klidich. And the service project participation, scouting for food drive in February, flag placement at Bardsdale Cemetery in May, Memorial Day Bardsdale Cemetery in May, coastal cleanup in September, Veterans Day Parade in November, Lions Club Christmas Parade in December, and various service club trash pickups throughout the year. Thank you. Now, Scouting America Troop 406, leader Scoutmaster Samford Sam. Thank you. And here's the proclamation as well. They're both. And Assistant Scoutmaster Brett Chandler. Jace Ashbrook. Jairo Watto. Congratulations. Owen Sam. Trayson Matthews. And their service project participation, flag placement at Bardsdale Cemetery in May, Memorial Day Bardsdale Cemetery in May, presentation of colors at the Alumni Dinner in June, coastal cleanup in September, presentation of colors at Blue and White Night and Parade in November, volunteer Lions Club Enchilada Dinner in November, Veterans Day Parade in November, Lions Club Christmas Parade in December, and collect discarded flags for formal flag retirement throughout the year. Group has been a member of the community for 76 years. Thank you guys for your service to our community. You guys line up in the front and we'll take a picture. You guys want the police down here? You guys want police?
Smaller in the front.
Let's get the cubs in the front, cubs in the front. Move out in the front, yeah, move in the front.
I'll slip behind you and get on the other side here. Oh, no, we can't. Okay. There, we'll do it this way. We kind of cross it. There we go.
Smiles, everyone.
There we go. Got it? There you go.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for taking the time. Busy life. Okay, guys, let's go back to your seats. Okay, guys, go back to your seats.
Happy Knowledge.
Moving on to item 5C, proclamation honoring Black History Month. Whereas Black History Month is observed each February to recognize and celebrate the significant contributions, achievements, and resilience of African Americans throughout United States history. And whereas African Americans have played a vital role in shaping social, cultural, economic, political, and civic foundations of our nation, often in the face of systemic inequalities and injustice. And whereas the legacy of African Americans leaders, innovators, educators, artists, activists, and public servants continue to inspire progress towards equality, justice, and opportunity for all. And whereas Black History Month provides an opportunity to reflect on our shared history, acknowledge past injustices, and recommit ourselves to fostering inclusion, equity, and mutual respect within our communities. And whereas the City of Fillmore values diversity and recognizes that honoring Black history strengthens community understanding, civic engagement, and unity. Now therefore, I, Albert Mendez, Mayor of the City of Fillmore, do hereby proclaim February 2026 as Black History Month in the City of Fillmore. Be it further resolved that the City of Fillmore encourages residents, schools, businesses, and community organizations to observe Black History Month through education, reflection, and celebration of the many contributions African Americans have made and continue to make to our nation and local communities.
Mayor, if I could, one of the things that I think I've noticed is that other communities also have a celebration for Juneteenth, and I would like to see if we couldn't explore doing something as well, since we are having more Black residents in the town, and I think that would be appropriate.
Thank you. Anybody else? Moving on to item number 5D, presentation on human trafficking awareness.
Sorry, guys, let me just get this queued up. Thank you for having me back, by the way. I started my my patrol career here in Fillmore, so it's a lot like coming home. It feels good. Okay, so my name is Detective Jamal Abay. I'm with the Ventura County Sheriff's Office, and I am the coordinator for the Ventura County Human Trafficking Task Force. So we're going to have a little technical difficulties. We'll just push on without it. Okay, so I understand that I don't have a ton of time tonight, so I'm just going to kind of breeze through some of the unimportant things. But if you guys do have any questions at the end, we can revisit some of that stuff. I don't know, can you guys all hear me? Sorry. Okay, perfect. So human trafficking is an issue. It's been an issue for several years. It was first recognized into law in the year 2000. It does occur here in Ventura County, enough to the point where we had a human trafficking task force stood up here in 2019. So the task force itself is actually a collaboration of several agencies within the county that have a unique expertise in each of their fields, particularly law enforcement, both local and federal. And then we have victim advocacy groups, social service providers, community partners, medical health professionals, and we all work collectively to confront human trafficking here in the county. So at its definition, I know a lot of people, when they hear human trafficking is a buzzword nowadays, and a lot of people see the sensationalized version of it in the movies, and they think Taken and The Sound of Freedom and things like that. But in reality, human trafficking itself is legally defined as a person who deprives or violates the personal liberty of another with the intent to obtain forced labor or services. Right? So it is not always that kidnapping situation where someone's being held against their will and being forced into, sorry, I just want to make sure all the kids are out, into sex trafficking or labor trafficking. So human trafficking itself is, there are two separate categories. There is the sex trafficking, and then there is the labor trafficking. Now, sex trafficking itself is a commercial sex act which is induced by force, fraud, or coercion, in which the person induced to perform such act is not attained 18 years of age, and that is because that person has not gained the age of consent yet. Now, the commercial sex act is defined as an exchange of something of value for illicit sex. And that can be money, property, drugs, things of that nature. Labor trafficking itself is the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for labor services through the use of force, fraud, and coercion. So that itself is, it's exactly what it sounds like, but every case is independent and unique to that person, right? So it could be something as simple as coming into the country thinking that you're going to take on a babysitting job, like an au pair or something, and they're being forced into an excessive amount of labor with unfair pay, right? So again, it is not always that Taken, Hollywood, Sound of Freedom situation, but by legal definition, we're here and it's occurring in the county. So the theme between those two, sex trafficking and labor trafficking, is the force, fraud, and coercion, right? So that is the mechanism of obtaining those services. So force itself is the physical harm, physical restraint, or confinement, and that's what most people think of when they think of sex trafficking and labor trafficking, right? Being chained to a bed or being unfairly housed in an overcrowded dormitory, right? And being forced to work an excessive amount of hours. Now, fraud is the false promises of working, living conditions, withholding promised wages, and contract fraud, right? So that goes back to my example of an au pair that came over from another country and is now working and was told they were going to be doing something else and are now doing something else, basically. Coercion is the most prominent one that we deal with on the law enforcement side, and that is the threat of serious harm to, or physical restraint against a person, scheming, planning, or a pattern intended to instill fear or serious harm or restraint, or abuse or threatened abuse of legal process, right? And so that last one is the big one, right? That's the one that we deal with a lot. So a lot of people will come over with a visa of some sort to work in our country, and then when they get here, they have a visa to work for a specific location, and once they arrive, that person now turns over their documents and feels like they can't come to the authorities for whatever reason, and they are being exploited by that vulnerability. So the AMP model is something that we came across with the Trafficking Victims Protection Act of 2000, which is when human trafficking became a law. And we teach this a lot to all of our partners within the task force. That includes the medical professionals and the victim advocacy groups. So it is the action, the mean, and the purpose. So just like I was saying, it is any of these actions using that mechanism of force, fraud, or coercion in order to obtain those illicit services. So this is it's a little dated. So the numbers are always a little skewed. However, I like showing this because it shows that it is not isolated to just California, right? This is a problem nationwide. It is a huge problem, but if you look on the West Coast here, we are between two large hotspots, right? So we're between LA and the San Francisco Bay, and the traffickers will use the 101 corridor to traffic victims north and south up and down that corridor. And we are unfortunately on that corridor, and we find our victims here. Also with this map, NASDAQ, ironically, so they project that the human trafficking subculture, the unlawful nature of it, has benefited at $460 billion in the last year from trafficking people So they're profiting as far as the labor trafficking, goes. So it's a very large business. We are a very small county, but we're still being affected. So the victims themselves, adults, minors, foreign nationals, U.S. citizens, any gender identity, any demographic, any socioeconomic background, college students, master's degrees, doctorates, juveniles, right? Undocumented, documented, poverty, affluent, right? The fact of the matter is there is no one category of victim, right? I've been doing this for a while, and the only thing that I've seen more prevalent than the others is the trend of foster care youth and runaway youth, as well as the kids in the STRTP programs at some of our homes, right? So it's those vulnerable populations.
Mayor, if I may just ask a question on that acronym, what does that stand for?
STRTP?
Yes.
I'm sorry. It is. I'm sorry, it's escaping me right now. They are state. What's that? No. So they are actually. It's a youth population that has that's had issues.
Okay.
Kind of conforming to social economic norms, and they're put into whether it be like educational or on the law side, and they're getting basically placed into like a state-run foster
Got it.
care.
Okay,
basically.
part of
Yeah.
the state-run
Yes.
system. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I'll look it up. Sorry about that. But it is that vulnerable population that is getting exploited the most from what I've seen. And that typically is, from what I've seen, it is the homes that have no parents or one parent, or it's the kids that are constantly looking for something, right? Looking to fill a void. And it seems like the traffickers are using that to kind of gain their trust and exploit them. And the grooming and the recruitment. So these are some of the common tactics. Now, the traffickers themselves are very, very sophisticated. And this grooming process I've seen usually is 3 to 6 months long, right? It is a long process. And these are just some of the things they do. Now, the educational and travel opportunities, that's something I touched on earlier with my example of the au pair. All right, so a lot of the third world countries or less affluent countries, they'll be offered jobs in America, right, for more money than they can make in a year over there, whatever country they're coming from. And they'll come over here and they'll have those visas specifically to work at, say, a massage parlor, right? And they apply for this visa. They'll come over here for the visa at the massage parlor. And when they arrive, they turn over all their documents, their passports, their visas, things like that. And now their trafficker has a lot of leverage over them, right? And they're usually sold a lie of, you're here illegally, you're here on this visa temporarily, or whatever the case is, and if you go to the authorities, the likelihood of you getting deported is pretty high, right? So that is a form of coercion that they'll use for some of these victims. The romantic tactic is exactly what it sounds like. So people looking for love are also very vulnerable, right? Like, and then there's false job ads, which ties into the travel opportunities. Colts, we don't have an issue here in Ventura County, but they do have them in LA, which we work hand in hand with quite a bit. The sale by family, we haven't had a ton of issues with, but typically, from what I've seen, it's been dealing with people that are having addiction issues, and they'll sell kids, nephews, nieces, things like that, cousins. The gang involvement is very large in Los Angeles. So the gang culture in Los Angeles has found that it's very, very profitable, to the tune of, I think, $236 billion in the last year, to sell human beings. And it's way more profitable than narcotics. It's actually the second most profitable commodity being sold in the world today is human beings, because they don't have to go out and find narcotics and travel from country to country to bring these products here, and then they're only sold once, and then they can't be reused. Whereas they see human beings as this commodity that can be reused time and time again throughout the entire day until they're entirely worn up, unfortunately. Now, the biggest one I say for last is social media itself. Social media is the frontier of predators, basically, right? It is a very unchecked, environment for the youth, which happens to be one of the most vulnerable populations. And a lot of the parents, there's a generational gap, I guess I'll say, is while most parents have an understanding of the internet and social apps, they don't have a deep understanding like the kids do, right? They're having like just like any other subculture, like the kids have a completely different vernacular, right? They're using different words and languages, and they're on different apps, and it's very hard. Even for me, I'm 40 and I can't keep up with all the apps, right? As I do these interviews with the victims, they're telling me about these new apps that are kind of popping up, and I have no idea about them. But it's very incumbent upon, I'll say, parents themselves to stay active in their kids' lives and be wary of what they're doing online. And that does extend to gaming platforms, I will say. So it's not just the social media, the Instagrams, the TikToks, and things of that nature, but it also goes down to Roblox. Yes, yeah. So the average age for a victim to get pulled into human trafficking is 12 to 14, is typically when it starts, and they start grooming them pretty young. So sex trafficking in Ventura County. Just make sure there's no kids there. So the porn industry is here, both formal and informal, right? So legalized and illicit. The outdoor solicitation we don't typically deal with here in Ventura County, but it is very prominent in Los Angeles County. So the Figueroa corridor is, especially here in Fillmore, it's probably 45 minutes from here. And a lot of the youth that a lot of the youth victims that we have in Ventura County end up on the Figueroa corridor, unfortunately. I like to think that here in Ventura County, the residents themselves as a whole, we just don't have the stomach to see, sex workers walking the street and not getting called, like notifying law enforcement, things like that. But in the event that it does start trickling over from Los Angeles County, like it should be something that should be reported. Escort services it's an underground subculture. It does occur in our hotels and motels, internet ads, and the nightclubs and strip clubs. It is an issue, right? But it's something that we have a handle on right now, and we're proactively working on it still. Residential. This does occur, residential brothels. So as we, as law enforcement, continue to progress and get better at our job, the more sophisticated criminals are also progressing and getting better, right? So it's kind of this cat and mouse where as we get better, they get better, and they learn every time we make a substantial arrest, right? Every time we make a noticeable arrest, and we have, we have transparency with the public, and we let them know how we arrested this person and, circumstances of the arrest. Those criminals are also, watching what we're doing and learning. Right. So residential brothels are becoming a thing. Previously, it was a commercial brothel, a commercial front brothel. So massage parlors acting under the guise of being a massage parlor, and things like that. I will say, in the last few years, Ventura County itself, we did have, unfortunately, we did have more massage parlors than Starbucks. But in the last few years, the task force has done a very good job. We've actually shut down at the tune of 40. So we have also got a pretty good handle on that too. But obviously, we're still doing our work. And then the web and internet sexual acts, these do occur. They are a little more difficult to combat as far as a law enforcement standpoint, just because a lot of them happen on the dark web or under chat rooms and things that we don't have access to. So this is a video. I'm not gonna play it, but it's just a video we had set up. It's on a camera. It's a covert camera that we had set up in front of one of our suspected hotels that we thought we had some human trafficking occurring. The victim here is an adult, so we just didn't watch men come in and out of a juvenile's room, just so you guys are aware. But we let this run for 72 hours because we weren't sure what was actually occurring. So we put this truck out there and let this roll for 72 hours to gain more information, more intelligence on the criminal case. And in that 72 hours, we saw approximately 40 customers come in and out. Now, this victim was advertised on a website, so this is how we got her rates. So for the half hours, they were $80 to $100 based off services, or $120 to $150 based on hourly, depending on services. So the reason why this is happening, just like I said earlier, that tune of $236 billion last year, this is occurring in Ventura County, right? So just this 72 hours alone, on the low end, if every customer went in for $80, this trafficker would make $3,200, right? And then on the high end, about $6,000, right? So it's a problem, but again, we are working collectively as a collaboration and really confronting this. Now, indicators of commercial sex is usually typically what you would assume, right? And inappropriately dressed, brandings, which also include tattoos. Typically, they'll be of monikers of their traffickers and things of that nature, usually money bags or cherries, high heels. Nothing that I'm expecting you guys to remember, but these things are occurring, right? The brandings, the brands themselves, sometimes, depending on how bad the victims are treated, sometimes they do get branded with like hot irons and things like that. And then typically they'll be afraid of law enforcement, and they'll have large sums of cash that is inexplicable. Multiple mobile devices, so they'll have a personal, and then they'll have one that they use for their work, which will have typically some kind of GPS monitoring, because the world of sex trafficking has evolved, just like modern era, right? So they're now using Life 360 and all these same apps that like we use to track our kids. I'm sorry, let me just touch on this last thing, the commercial sex industry verbiage. So just like the kids have with their very unique vernacular verbiage when they're talking to each other online or in these other chat rooms, the commercial sex industry also has its own unique words and verbiage that they use. So a lot of times when I do talk to other members of the task force or conduct other trainings, a victim will typically refer to their trafficker as their boyfriend or their uncle or some other kind of male figure, right? So it kind of blurs the lines. But if you guys do ever come across anything like that, or your kids ever come across anything like that, where they're talking to someone and they say that's their uncle or something, it might be a flag. Now, labor trafficking. Labor trafficking itself is very difficult to investigate, just by the nature of the trafficking subculture, right? So typically it'll be with a migrant worker, right, who's already afraid of dealing with law enforcement, particularly in the social climate, and a lot of misinformation, right? So a lot of these workers will deal with housekeeping, traveling sales, agriculture, domestic work, restaurant, food, things like that. But again, there is a lot of misinformation in these fields, right? There's inappropriate safety gear, so some of these are indicators, right? So if they're out and they're doing something, because a lot of this stuff will be blue collar work, so if they're working construction jobs and they don't have hard hats, or they don't have steel toe boots or gloves, or they're working with heavy machinery and they're not prepared, they're not equipped by their employers to do this, that might be a sign, right? Because a lot of the times these guys are trying to cut costs at any point. The excessive hours, questionable pay, just like I was telling you guys earlier about the au pair example. And then the isolation, because they're trying to keep them away from us, basically. And then overcrowded or dangerous living conditions. Now, these are just a few general indicators across the board for sex trafficking and labor trafficking. Just fearful, resistance to assistance, non-control of their money, non-control of their documents is really big. So if you guys do ever come across these or deal with healthcare providers in the city that think they've seen these signs, emergency-wise, give us a call, right? And that's just as simple as 911, letting dispatcher know that you think you have a suspected human trafficking. If it's not an emergency, there's the number to interface, which is our victims service provider or advocacy group. And then if it is a minor, that Forever Found is strictly for minors. Now, as far as the labor trafficking goes, like I was saying, there's a lot of misinformation, right? And a lot of the main coercive tactic that they will use is they'll threaten with the possibility of being deported. All right, and I say there's a lot of misinformation because we have specific visas that we offer to victims that are here being trafficked, right? And that's the T visa, right? And that will afford somebody the opportunity to stay if they are identified as a trafficking victim, and they'll be able to stay, and we'll be able to still provide services for them. So they're not getting deported immediately, right? And this is something that I try to explain to a lot of people because it is a very good program, and I think it's not being spoken a lot about, and I think it needs to be. These are a few of the other services that we do provide, whether they get the T visa or not, regardless of their status as being documented or undocumented. But we do provide translation. We have most languages covered, and then as far as medical, dental, legal services, case management, childcare, getting them into shelters, into safe houses, these are all things that we can help with. And if that's all I have to say, unless you guys have any questions for me. Again, I'm Detective Jamal LeBay with the Sheriff's Office.
Great presentation. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I know that going back probably 15, 20 years ago, there was a huge effort in dispersing placards throughout retail businesses, restaurants, all sorts of locations. And I don't see those as much anymore. I don't know if there was ever, if it was continued, the program was continued, and I wondered if there was any plans to, pass those out again, information that was provided to, so the public or someone who was being trafficked would see that information and have a phone call, contact information for assistance and to get out of that trafficking situation. So are those still being dispersed? And if not, should they be?
Absolutely and absolutely, right? So
Okay.
we are doing our best, right? We're coming up with new ideas all the time. We're trying to be innovative. We did talk to Panda Express. So they put up pamphlets up at their locations through the month of January, which is the National Human Trafficking Awareness Month. We try to focus on major areas of transportation like bus stops, train stations, the airport, so places where we think there are going to be a large amount of transit, right? Because we're trying to prevent the victims getting transported over long distances. Something like putting pamphlets out at smaller stores is something that we can look into. I think it's just something we're constantly looking for new ways to do things.
So are those placards or stickers, are they available for communities to obtain now? And if so, I think that'd be something great that the city of Fillmore could do is, pick up a handful of them to, post on various places throughout our own community. So are they available still?
So I don't have any per se, not on me, and we didn't distribute any small pamphlets this year or placards. We did work with the Seroptimus group, and we helped put up that large billboard. I don't know if you guys saw it by the collection in Oxnard. So that was something we did. I think it's just kind of trying to get the best bang for our buck, right? Not to say that the small pamphlets placards are not something great. It is something that we can look into maybe next year.
Yeah, and they actually weren't pamphlets, they were stickers.
Like
They were
little stickers?
adhesive.
Okay.
And you'd see them on bathroom walls, public restrooms. And I'm trying to remember if it was, I think it was a joint effort by the DA's office and the sheriff's department that put those together.
So the district attorney's office is one of the members of the task force. We do work collectively with them. Yeah, so it may be something we can revisit for sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I do too. Thank you. Detective LeBay, thank you for your presentation. It was really, really important, insightful, and we need to keep spreading the word
Thank you.
for this really terrible problem that we have. So my question is, was actually Councilmember Brogie's similar question too, about how can we spread the word more in our community, but also for families and parents, we've had a couple of recent cases of high schoolers being trafficked, being groomed. What would be, if you were to tell a parent, the top 2 or 3 things for them to to be aware of, to check in with? What would those be? So that's question number one. And then question number two is this information that you provided, is it available at a website or on social media? And is it available in Spanish? If there was just some sort of small video, clip that we can direct people to, for parents particularly, to watch. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I always, when I do these speaking events, I usually tell parents to just be active and present in their children's lives, which I know is very difficult with teenagers, right? They're constantly withdrawing and trying to be cool, and right. So I get it. But some of the signs will be that withdrawal, right? But it will also include withdrawal from friends, right? And then when they're actively seeking or spending a ton of time online, which I know also is pretty typical of teenagers, right? But like I was saying, I think it's incumbent upon parents to make sure you're aware of what they're doing online, right? I know that a lot of the teenage victims that I do talk to, once we rescue them, they will have parent accounts, right? So go through their phone, right? I tell parents to try to foster a healthy relationship with their kids as far as being aware of what's on the internet and the dangers of the internet itself. Because I know years prior it was like a catfishing thing, right, where people don't present themselves as who they actually are online. But now, as things have evolved, kids are being coerced into traveling, beyond the county line and being coerced into doing things that they probably don't want to be doing, right? And then they're stuck out there, and then it's kind of this spiral that we have to deal with. So I would just say that the signs are there. They mimic a lot of the normal behavior that they're going to exhibit. So I think it's really just being active and present in their life and knowing their friend groups, knowing when there is a change in their friend group, knowing when they start withdrawing from their friends and figuring out why, right? Like whatever the catalyst is and the withdrawal, and finding out if they're seeking that attention somewhere else, right? Whether it be boyfriend, girlfriend, or parent, And then, I'm sorry, the second part was?
Sorry, the second question was about a resource, maybe a short video in Spanish, educational for parents. Just sort of about the signs, about what we were just talking about.
We do have pamphlets available. It is in English and Spanish. I can work with the captain and get some pamphlets here in the city of Fillmore. But we do have plenty of media.
Thank you.
Yeah. I had a question regarding, so you mentioned in part of your presentation, by the way, great presentation. Thank you. Very, very timely. You mentioned in your presentation that foster youth in particular are very vulnerable to this kind of trafficking. And I was just wondering if there's any kind of organized effort by your department or other departments to try to educate foster youth about the dangers of this kind of human trafficking.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, because we have noticed that trend of the particularly the vulnerable youth getting exploited, but there are also it's kind of like a ball of clay, right? And I hate using the analogy, but it's very difficult to get a grasp on because we are bound by the same laws that we vote for, right? And in these STRTP houses, these state-run houses where the kids are like. The wards of the state, a lot of the times they are in these facilities, and in the facilities themselves, they're still afforded a lot of freedoms, and they should be, right? Like they're not in prison and they're not incarcerated, but it brings a lot of problems, right? So in these facilities, they're not allowed to have locked doors. They have access to their phones still, and it presents a lot of issues, right? So as these vulnerable youth are in the programs where they don't want to be, and they're typically brought out of their own counties, right, to get removed, because that is usually a tactic that helps. In the past, that's how it would help if you remove them from the problem, from whatever their troubled friend group is or whatever the case is, and you bring them to, let's say, from Kern County to here, right, you kind of remove them from that environment. It typically would help in the past, but now we're dealing with, like I said, that whole different frontier of the digital realm. Right, so instead of dealing with the physical friends wherever they were in Kern County, now they're making new friend groups online, and there is no boundary, right? They could be meeting traffickers coming from Alabama, right, or Tennessee, right? I had a case recently, and I'm not going to get into the details of it, but I had a trafficker from Philadelphia, right, reaching out to a youth here in Ventura County, right? So the digital frontier is boundless, right? And you don't know what the predators are going to be doing on there because they are way more sophisticated than I think most people imagine, right? And they almost go into the psyche of kind of figuring out which child or you know, whichever prey they're going to deal with, right? And they do spend months and months and months grooming these kids, looking for these kids. I've talked to a trafficker where he told me he sends out 100 messages a day, right? And he told me he's looking for one reply, right? So it is scary, right? Just the digital realm. So again, as long as people are being active and stuff.
So kind of follow-up question, so that I used to be on the school board, and one of the things that I guess that it sounds like would be helpful is some kind of a curriculum for the appropriately aged students that would be targeted, that maybe educating the staff. Is something like that in the works, or do you have something like that for our public schools?
So I have never breached that topic. I think it comes with a lot of nuances and issues,
Yeah.
right? Like it is a public school.
It's obviously very sensitive.
It's exactly right. Just the sensitive nature of trafficking itself, whether it be sex or labor trafficking. And in a public school district, it's very difficult to breach that topic as far as what can be said and what parents feel comfortable with their kids are being exposed to. Yeah.
Short-term residential therapeutic program.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your presentation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Moving on to item 5E, update on communications, engagement, and community outreach.
Stop trying. Okay.
Hello, good evening, Mayor, City Council, and staff. My name is Angel Garcia, for the record, and I'm your Senior Management Analyst, and I'm going to be presenting to you an update on our recent growth in communications. It's all displaying good, nice. So I want to go over first the overview of the metrics of our various forms of social media, as also the forms of outreach, and also analyzing the data and explaining what this data means. So to begin with, I want to start off with Facebook. Our Facebook has been experiencing some very steady and healthy growth. The date range of the data right here is when I first started here in the city of Fillmore in the month of July, all the way up to January 2028. So as you can see, we had a net increase of 287 new followers. The total followers that we have as of January 28th were 3,527. So there's a good chance that our followers have increased since then. And a lot of the content that we have posted actually nets new followers. So as you can see, 55.1% of the new followers that we have gotten have been from our videos. So it seems that our audience really likes the videos that the city posts, which gains much more followers. Same thing with just the posting much more frequently. As you can see, 44.4% come from posts, so that includes pictures and the flyers and just the updates that we, the city, share. And of course, 0.5% from stories. Facebook isn't really well known for its stories. You don't really see much engagement on there, but as you can see, we might have gone maybe a follower or so if someone has shared it on their story. And as you can see, what for me as your senior management analyst, what I look at is the engagement. If we're posting something, are people looking at it? Are they aware that we shared this information? And as you can see, we have experienced a healthy amount of engagement since the month of July. And total views, so that's just folks just of the post coming up on their feed, over 400,000, which is a net increase of 197%. That is a very healthy increase for the city of Fillmore and helps us in our outreach. And as you can see with interactions, that means the likes, the comments, the sharing, that's really good, an increase of 159%. Moving on, here's some data that comes from Meta that kind of shares the demographics and the cities in which our followers are from. So as you can see, majority of our followers are from the city of Fillmore, and the date range of this data is a lifetime. So this is upon the creation of the page until now. So as you can see, majority of our followers are from the city of Fillmore, but of course we also have some fans from the city of Santa Paula, Ventura, Oxnard, Piru, and even LA. They really like the stuff that we're putting up in LA. And as you can see, we're very popular amongst the age range of 35 to 44. It represents about 31%, and under that are the other ages in which that we're popular with. As you can see, fairly low when it comes to between the ages of 18 to 24. Mostly around that age range. You'll probably see them on other platforms such as Instagram or maybe even TikTok. So as you can see, that Facebook doesn't get much engagement from that age group, but at the medium age, it's known for that community gathering and information as that. But as you can see, a lot of our followers mostly are women. So fellas, if you're listening to this, you gotta get to know what the city of Fillmore is doing. So please help us in sharing that information amongst the gentlemen here in the city of Fillmore. Could make a great conversation at the dinner table. So, and diving deeper into the Facebook metrics, as you can see, this is engagement through our content type. So this data range is from July up to January. And as you can see, we have a very good increase of interactions, 159%. Here's a breakdown of them on the left. You can see with reactions of around 5,000, comments for 160, and shares 493. That is a really good number to have. That means that our residents, community members, and orgs are sharing our content, and which is extending our reach, which is really good. And as you can see, we can see the breakdown of where the content and that engagement comes from, which is from followers and non-followers. So even if you're not seeing high engagement from followers, that engagement from non-followers is good. That means that folks, that if there's if a friend or a family member is sharing that content and it's coming up on their feed and they're engaging with it, that's good. That can turn a non-follower into a follower, and especially if it's a neighbor from Fillmore that's sharing it and a neighbor that doesn't follow the city of Fillmore on our socials, that can change them into a follower. So that's actually a really good number to have amongst non-followers. And as you can see, the highest reactions, 85.1%, that's really good. That means they see our content and they're liking it and they're commenting on it. And as you can see, the reels have been in a very effective form of outreach when it comes to Facebook, 39.7%.
Can I ask Angel a question?
Yes.
Thank you. Angel, back on the last one, what would, I know it says other, but do we have an indication of what other is?
That's a great question. I wish Meta would define that. I assume that could mean maybe if something was reshared. It doesn't really describe that, but that's a percentage. I had that same question as well.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Now for Instagram. When looking at the data with Instagram, I was very surprised. In posting on Instagram, I constantly see the increase in engagement and followers. But once I started looking at the data in preparation for this presentation, I was impressed. The Instagram is where we've had the strongest form of engagement and following, and has proven effective tool for the city of Fillmore for our outreach and engagement. As you can see, when I started around the city, we were, I think, about 5,000 followers. As of today, we're at 6,111. And typically when we post new content, those follower numbers increase. So we've experienced a very healthy amount of new followers. That's new residents and new audience members keeping up with the city of Fillmore and what we're doing. And as you can see, that increase is very high. 800% is really good. I think just capturing the frequent posting and sharing of information and doing it in a way where it's accessible is really increasing our impressions, particularly with the video views. Our reels have been a very effective tool when it comes to outreach, particularly in Instagram. I think with Instagram, it's just the accessibility and the user interface of the platform, which makes it a lot better. And also, reacting to stuff on Instagram is typically much more, I guess, a norm on the platform. On Facebook, sometimes people just see a post and they just keep going. But on Instagram, you know, they see stuff and they like it, they comment it, it's reshare. So these are really good numbers, especially for a city. Breaking down the content type, as you can see, 500,000 views is a really good number for our posts, our videos, our flyers, things of that nature. As you can see, here's by our content type in terms of engagement. We have 39.7% just from our posts, which is a really good number. And of course, again, you see with the reels, and as you can see with Instagram, you see a much more higher volume with our stories. And in looking at our content, the way it's shared, a lot of people are sharing our stories, which is good. That extends our outreach and extends our audience as well, especially with non-followers. Yes.
So Angel, thank you for putting this together, first of all. But can I throw a little bit of skepticism out there?
Certainly.
So,
Yeah.
and again, I'm not doubting you at all, but we really had 500,000 views.
Yep.
In 6 months.
Correct.
I mean, that's a huge number. It's almost an unbelievable number. Is the reason I'm throwing out a little bit of skepticism. I mean, we have 17,000 people. How many views does that break down per person? If it was only, I'm not trying to throw out the math, but
it's quite an impressive number, council member. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you some of our videos, especially for our business spotlight, and you'll see it in the future slide, that a lot of them have more than 10,000 views just for one video. Wow. And also these views also means for posts. So if a flyer is shared, if it pops up on the feed, that counts as a view. So as you know, we've been very frequently posting since July, since I've come on board. So that's what that number reflects. Wow. It's a very impressive number, and I think it just demonstrates the outreach and the commitment to that transparency as part of your council goal.
Agreed. I'm absolutely a fan. Believe me, I think what you guys are doing is absolutely fantastic. I just, maybe at a later day, you and I can get together and just kind of walk me through that 500,000 views. That'd be great, because maybe it's me being, I don't understand what is a view. What qualifies as a view is probably where the gap is. So,
okay.
Right, thank you.
Understood. Moving on, as you can see, majority of our followers come from the city of Fillmore, but we also have followers from the city of Santa Paula, Oxnard, Ventura, Piru, our neighbors. And as you can see, it shows the age in which of our followers are. So we're very popular within the medium age range between 35 to 44. And of course, with the teens, you don't really see a lot of teens following the city, but hey, hopefully they can learn some civic engagement, and that can lead to more followers so they can be aware of what the city is doing. So our top 3 performing posts. So our first one was the Estrella Market Reel, very successful. And our second post was actually the recognition for Chief Lalo. Seems he's very popular on Facebook. Nicely done, Chief. And then our third post was the reel that I had posted, and within minutes, this post really went, I guess I can use the word viral. It really did. And I think it's because you don't really see content like this for Fillmore. And I think it just gave those residents, like, that's my city. Look how beautiful. The reshares on it, the likes and the interactions were truly impressive, especially with a platform like Facebook, when you don't see that level of interaction and resharing. So these are just for Facebook. So these numbers are very impressive. Yeah, and if you actually go to Chief Lalo's post, he has a lot of comments. So he's very popular indeed. And this is for Instagram. So as you can see, our number one post was the Gloomy Day reel. It was reshared heavily, very engaged with. It was very popular. And then our second one was our Christmas reel that we did with our business bingo and the event that we had out in front of Plaza Park. And post 3, Estrella Market. The folks really liked the Estrella Market reel, and also our business spotlight reel that we did for Vintage Pleasures also did very well. So this kind of shows just the type of content that our audience likes to see. That's awesome. So our other forms of outreach, we don't just do social media. We have reactivated Channel 10. Just in Channel 10 alone, this is from the date range of November 2025 to today's date, and over 400,000 impressions, which is really good. The analytics on Channel 10 aren't that detailed, so I'm not really sure if that's how many individual televisions that is, how much time per slide. This is just overall on our Channel 10. But as you can see, that's a very healthy amount of engagement. So if you go on our Channel 10, you see different forms of outreach that we've done, our flyers, our videos, our tutorials, like our GIS tutorial, our Aqua Hawk tutorial. So we have really activated that and diversified that for different forms of content for our folks that might not be on social media or be comfortable getting their information from social media. Our website is another tool that we use for our outreach. We're constantly updating our news flash section, as well as our homepage, where you can see the latest updates. And then if folks are registered for the Notify Me tool, when we add something to our to our website, particularly in the homepage part or the news flash part, they will get a notification. So that's another tool that we have for our outreach. Another one, press releases, print, Gazette, reuses the stuff that we send them or that we post on our social media to help us with our outreach. And our newsletter, we have launched a newsletter. You can see the information to register on our website, our social media. If you actually go on the bios of our Facebook and our Instagram, you see a link on there that says Linktree. So a lot of times you'll see on our captions, go visit the link in our bio to register or to sign up or to view. You can see all those different links on there, so it saves you a Google search or typing in the URL. So it just shows the accessibility that we provide to our residents in engaging with our content or our information. So just kind of a summary and takeaways. As you can see, the City of Fillmore socials have really grown steadily. We continue to increase in followers and engagement. Our short videos are really key in getting the engagement and to getting those interactions. Research is constantly showing that attention span amongst humans is decreasing. So it's really important to get those informations in the short amount of video as you can so we can keep their attention span. And also videos. Our reels have been incredibly successful for the City of Fillmore. Our Aqua Hawk tutorial, GIS tutorial, our business spotlight reels all have proven to be very successful for the city. And also our audience, they really reshare our content. If you look at the amount of reshares we've gotten from our Facebook and Instagram content, it's really quite impressive. So very kudos to the residents for resharing our content to increase our outreach as well. And a lot of those numbers, I would say, are probably from the amount of reshares that we get from the residents. I know U.S. Council members reshare the content as well, so that is very helpful too for our outreach. And posting regularly, when information comes out that we want to share, and posting regularly, that has also helped us out with our outreach. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Angel.
Welcome, Mayor.
Hey, thank you, Angel. That was amazing. Question two, I know based on the data that you shared, the younger crowd were not really engaging. So I'm wondering if you have a plan, maybe bring up a TikTok account, or what are your plans to engage the younger crowds?
That's a good question, Councilmember Rodriguez. I guess it just depends what's our targeted audience for that young crowd. If it's 18 to 27, if it's under 18, we could do some comedy reels, but of course, it just depends on the comfort of the city. As far as a concrete plan, we don't have anything set in stone to engage with that particular audience, but I'm happy to hear any feedback that you may have in how we can incorporate.
Well, whatever's trendy now, and I think I'm thinking just the previous presenter on trafficking and all that other stuff. I think maybe presenting some information about some tricks and tips, internet safety, protecting your identity, what's things out there right now that youth can engage in, safety things, anything that I can that can use. And I know there's a couple of nonprofits here that help youth with safety and so forth. Maybe a partnership, or maybe even getting ideas and how to engage that population to minimize risk.
Certainly.
Yeah, just a comment with regard to Channel 10, and I know it's probably the least used method of communication from the city, but for the last few years, the content that was on there, a lot of it had to do with, our schedule or for during the COVID years, so it was very outdated. So I brought that to the attention of our city manager, I think about 6 or 8 months ago. So I think that there are probably a lot of people out there that aren't aware that it's been updated. And so is that information we can put on our newsletter or any other means of communication to let people know that they now can just tune into Channel 10 and see for any kind of updates?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, that's something we can do and let them know. I personally, when I upload content to Channel 10, I check myself to make sure that it's formatted well and that it's been uploaded successfully. And sometimes when I go to lunch, I talk to stakeholders that I know in the community to confirm, hey, did you see that on Channel 10? So I get that reassurance that it has been seen. But certainly, we can definitely post something about Channel 10.
It surprises me the number of people, especially people like, and I'll be one of them soon, that will no longer be doing screens. And I'll be,
Yeah, certainly. I can look into that, council member.
Channel 10 than turn on the computer. So, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to make a comment too. Thank you, Angel. This is incredible to see this amount of success and increase in the last 6 months. So kudos to you. Thank you for your hard work on this. I saw that I'm not sure if it was Facebook or it was Instagram. I think it was Instagram. It kind of like plateaued around, it said November 2025. I mean, is it maybe just a little decrease in content, or I was just curious. I just saw on one of those line grabs it just plateaued a little bit, and that really means anything or not?
No, that's a good question, council member. There's actually a reason for that. A lot of times at the beginning of a new year, a lot of folks do resolutions or goals, and they actually deactivate social media for a bit. So that kind of decreases engagement, decreases followership. You actually lose followers for a bit because people deactivate their accounts, but then after a few months, they reactivate after they have taken a break, or sometimes they don't come back. So we do see those trends oftentimes at the beginning of a new year, people taking breaks from social media.
Yeah, that's helpful to know. And I like the shout out to the men, to engage more. And I don't know if you looked up any stats, but in my mind, I thought, well, are men less engaged on social media? Is that the reason that the numbers of men are lower? That would be interesting to find out. Just overall, if there's less men who have, for example, my husband, he's connected to my Facebook and my Instagram because he's like, I want to see what's going on, but didn't want to have to, do it all to set it up. So that might be a common thing too. So just want to put that out there. But great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Angel, again, just kudos to the great work you're doing. I think, this, to me, this trajectory is the right way because, to engage the current population, we need to be where the population is. And I think this is what you're doing is absolutely meeting them where they are, meeting our constituents where they are. And I love your reels. They're great. So thank you for the work.
Appreciate it.
Yes. Angel, thank you for all your hard work and doing a tremendous job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
And moving on to item number 6, public comments. This is a chance for residents to speak on items not on the agenda. First off, we have Sheriff Jim Fryhoff. Welcome and thank you for attending.
Well, thank you, Mayor Mendez, City Council, City staff, chiefs. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to address what really everybody wants to talk about is what's happening with immigration, specifically what's happening here in Ventura County. I know a lot of our community are terrified about what they're seeing, about what's happening. What I want to remind everybody and reemphasize is that we, law enforcement, meaning our patrol staff, do not do immigration enforcement. If somebody calls 911, they need to know that help is coming, and that's what we're there to provide. We will never ask anybody where they're from, to see their documentation, to see their papers. That is not our role. That is the role that is strictly the federal government's role. The only time we communicate with immigration authorities are for people that are in my custody, that have been held to answer or convicted of certain serious and violent crimes. They're all identified under Senate Bill 54. We're talking rape, child molestation, drug dealing, murder. And in those instances, ICE reaches out to us. We verify that they meet the criteria. We give them a release date, and they have to be there at the time they're being released. If ICE is not there at the time they're getting released, we let them out the door. The law does not allow us to keep them in any time beyond that. The immigration authorities have now started doing federal judicial warrants. And in those instances, if we have somebody in our custody where they have a federal judicial warrant, then we will hold them for up to 5 days like we would for any other out-of-county warrant. Those are still pretty minimal. The majority of the requests are, in fact, the SB 54. Now, as an example, last year, they'd made 1,300 requests of us of the 22,000 bookings about. And of that, about 160 were eligible under Senate Bill 54, and they picked up about 115. The number's currently on our website. We did update our website, which has a transparency dashboard for SB 54, so you don't have to wait until my Truth Act forum once a year to hear what the numbers are. It will be updated about every month or so. Once it's fully operational, it'll also have what the current charges are of the person that qualifies, and also what their qualifying crimes were. We won't have the name of the individual, but it'll say an age, a little bit of information about the crime that occurred that made them qualify. So I just want to remind our community what our role is. We will not let federal agents get attacked. So if they do call for help, we will send officers to assist to protect them from being attacked, period. If people do not like the law that's being enforced, there's opportunities to change that law, and that's not done on the side of the street by attacking federal agents. We will not tolerate it. We are a rule of law county, and that's how we will operate. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you all.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Joseph Davinsky Jr.
Hi, my name is Joseph Dobzinski Jr. I am a resident of Camarillo, and I am the Rapid Response Organizer for 805 Undocu Fund, representing Ventura County and southern Santa Barbara County. Let me first give you the latest updates on the numbers that have been of people abducted by ICE. In the 805 area code, 1,595 people at least have been picked up by federal agents. Out of those, 841 are in Ventura County and 15 were in Fillmore. We believe one was picked up just this morning as they were on their way to work. We're working on getting in touch with the families. We at 805 Undocu Fund have been doing trainings in the Santa Clara River Valley area, recently in Piru and in Fillmore. We will be having another one in Piru on February 15th, and we are working on scheduling one for Santa Paula. Anybody who wants to get involved and be part of the only line of defense between what ICE is doing to our community right now is welcome to definitely show up. In addition, if anybody sees ICE out there, they're welcome to call the Rapid Response Hotline at 805-870-8855, and we'll send somebody out there to make sure that ICE is not there, or if ICE is there, that all rules and laws are being followed. I would just like to say, too, that in our trainings, everything we do is legal. We do not advocate for violence. We do not advocate for doxing or stalking of ICE agents. And we have never, ever attacked a federal agent on the side of the road. We would really like to see Fillmore establish an immigration stakeholders committee so that we can have conversations about what we can do to support the immigrant community within Fillmore. We expect that Fillmore will be attacked a lot more in the coming year, along with other farm worker communities. We recently heard that the housing authorities of the country have been asked to provide information on mixed status households. Luckily, Santa Paula Housing Authority has said no to the request after consulting with legal counsel. We are concerned about any housing authority within Ventura County and throughout the 805 handing that information over. So we are very concerned about that. We would like to have discussions about that, not just coming up here and having 3 minutes at a pop to talk about what's going on. And we hope you would go to the Oxnard Immigration Stakeholders Committee to see how that committee works and how it actually is bringing the community together to talk about what we can and cannot do. It's been very successful there. There are other cities who are willing to do it. And we'd like to see Fillmore join the ranks, especially given the large population of immigrants that are here, and especially with mixed status households. That's it. You can always find us at 805ondocufund.org/trainings and alerts, and we'll see you another time.
Our next speaker is Estrella Torres. Welcome, Estrella.
Hello, good evening, council members and community members. My name is Estrella Torres, and I'm the Youth and Community Engagement Specialist for the BRIGHT program. We're a county-wide nonprofit organization, and we're here tonight to introduce what we're doing in Fillmore in your community as a part of the Bright Futures Initiative program. We have a youth coalition currently that focuses on empowering and uplifting youth voices ages 12 to 26 in Fillmore and Santa Paula. Our mission is to support and mentor young people in developing leadership skills and engaging civically in their communities to become the youth advocates and community leaders here. We do this mainly by supporting students in their own advocacy projects, so that ranges from different issues that they're passionate about in order to create change, such as like mental health, civic engagement. And then another step that we do as a part of the Bright Futures Initiative program is that we visit middle and high schools here in Fillmore to provide them with education and activities around health and wellness, substance use prevention, and civic engagement. And then it is through these visits and outreach efforts that they're able to learn about our main youth coalition and go ahead and join that if they want. And then our youth coalition currently has active student members. That means we meet every month to engage in educational workshops. This could be like learning about local government processes, how to improve the community, and how to build the leadership and teamwork skills. And in these spaces, the coalition members can also foster a sense of community within themselves. We've been doing a lot of this through Zoom meetings, but we really want to start doing and encouraging in-person meetings to kind of get that connection factor in there. And then as an on-site translator for our nonprofit organization too, we are further allowed to provide all these services and programming in both English and Spanish languages if requested by the students or parents that we serve as well. And then currently, like I said, we do have 10 students working on their own advocacy projects. This ranges from, like I said, mental health, substance use prevention, also immigration is a very important topic that a lot of students are passionate about. Students also get the opportunity to host the coalition meetings themselves as a part of their projects, and a lot of the times when we are able to, we try to provide stipends for them to encourage their involvement as community leaders. And then we also take place in a lot of community civic engagement activities. So recently we had the holiday drive at Santa Paula High School that we put together, and they were able to hand out grocery gift cards to the community as well as health and wellness resources. We also took part in the Justice for All Ventura County Women's March, where our youth advocates did many interviews with the community members to get feedback on how they felt about the protests and how it feels to be an engaged community member. And then just to end this off, we believe that young people are not just future leaders, they are leaders now. And by engaging them early and listening to their ideas and helping them develop the tools that they need, we can strengthen our community for years to come. So in the coming months, you may see Bright and the youth we work with here sharing their ideas or perspectives or advocacy projects, and we're excited to be part of this community and collaborate with the city, local schools, and other organizations to make a positive difference. For more information about our program, you can go to bright.link/BFI or email me at estrella@brightyouth.org. Thank you all for your time, and we look forward to working alongside you to support the youth.
Thank you so much. Okay, anybody else, any other speaker cards? No? Okay, thank you. Moving on to item number 7, City Council reports, recommendations, comments, committee, commission, and board reports.
Yep. Okay, so I'll go first. On January 28th, I participated in the United Water Conservation District. They had a tour of their facilities. So one of the facilities, obviously, I'd been to probably many times in my youth, which was the Santa Felicia Dam or Lake Piru Dam. So I didn't go to that one, but I did attend the other 2 locations that they have on the Oxnard Plain. The diversion project that's in the close to the hillside there between Santa Paula and Satacoy. as well as their main treatment facility near Rose Avenue. So those were the two main places that I participated in the tour. And then on February 2nd, I attended the Fillmore Business Roundtable that we had at the Bunnin Chevrolet R&Q Kitchen. That was excellent, and we had good participation in that. And then I also, kind of on a little bit of a tangent, but I'll bring it back to the city business here. On February 3rd through 5th, I attended the Medical Device and Manufacturing Trade Show down in Anaheim. And what's relevant to the city was, while I was there, I noticed that there was recruitment going on by one of the counties in Texas of California, well, not just California's, any of the businesses that were there presenting at the trade show. And I thought, geez, that would be great for Fillmore. I mean, we could definitely do something like that if we wanted to, which would be to be present at one of these high-tech trade shows and try to recruit businesses to come. For example, we have Rotorcraft, an aerospace company that does repair services for helicopters right here. Wouldn't it be great if we had, for example, more aerospace companies, and we attended an aerospace trade show where we invited companies to come look at Fillmore as a potential site for maybe either a repair facility or headquarters, whatever. And it really made me think about what are the things that we as a city council and staff could do to help recruit businesses to our town. Because one of the great things that this particular county was doing was what they had set up a special district through the voters to tax themselves 1.5 cents to, and this is like in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I'm sorry, in the Houston area. And what they did with that sales tax was they were setting up a convention center. Obviously, that's a lot bigger than what we would be doing here in Fillmore, but the idea is the same, which would be that, hey, we want to recruit businesses because a lot of those businesses that, if they're the right kind of businesses, they're going to employ people here in Fillmore, and if not in Fillmore, then they're going to spend their money here. And so I just thought, wow, that's I think a great thing for us to look at as a council and as a city, that something that might help our community. And then finally, I did go through and off on C Street for two reasons. One was to look at the potholes that were filled in. So great job by the staff in filling in lots of potholes on C Street, and then also go up to where we're doing these sewage or sewer pipe upgrades up on the upper part of C Street. So good work there, and that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Next.
Okay, I do have a couple of updates myself. So we had a successful, I think a good turnout for our volunteers for our point in time count. That is the homeless count that was happening countywide, actually nationwide. I want to say the last Wednesday of January. So thank you to the handful of volunteers who came out that morning, and thank you to our sheriff deputies who accompanied us and were the first point of outreach to those who are homeless. So data was collected, and I think within a month or two, we should hear from the county continuum of care, maybe some metrics, maybe some overall trends of where things are, trending in terms of our homeless population. A little bit more information maybe on those in Fillmore, that again can inform our encampment resolution grant. And thank you, Assistant Manager Manny Minares, for also attending. It's very eye-opening to see them and to be able to interact and to sort of find out a little bit more about their story. And that, again, all that information hopefully informs us, especially that we have this grant right now, to help to place them and to encourage those services, very much knowing their very specific needs, because it is a very small group. And the more that we can, know specifically what they need, what they want, what we can do, the better off we'll be in terms of placement. So thank you for that. Let's see, regarding the Ventura Regional Sanitation District, we did have our February meeting. It was pretty general business items, but we did have a change in leadership. So I'm now the official chair this year of the Ventura Regional Sanitation District. And Council Member Leslie Cornejo of Santa Paula is the vice chair. And I think all the board members agreed, and also the general manager, our new general manager, Eric Zetz, that it's great that both Fillmore and Santa Paula are on the leadership of the sanitation district this year, because there will be more movement in terms of the future of Tolan landfill. One really great thing that Manager Eric Zetz shared with all that I could share with the community and with all of you is that the latest analysis of space in the last cell of the Tolan landfill, they were looking at 2030, 2031. This was about a year ago. The latest assessment is that if things continue to go as they are, in terms of the amount of trash that comes to the landfill and the compaction that's able to be happen, they're looking at almost 12 years. I want to say it was like 11.7, almost 12 years until this last cell is full. So that's really great, and that's really good improvement. Great for our valley of residents to know, and that we continue to utilize it, and that they're just doing a good job of that. So, and then of course I was going to say there'll be some more information on the future of the landfill and possible expansion. So I think it's great that Leslie and I are sort of the face of the district this year. So I'll be glad to give more updates on that. Last week here in council chambers, we had a group of students come, middle school and high school students. There are about 40, organized from the Ventura County Office of Education, and it was a really neat experience. Twice a year, there's like a cohort of students who we were just talking about. Those who are interested in, civic mindedness, government, and so these students are recorded from different high schools in different cities, and including some from Fillmore and some from Santa Paula. And they went on a civic tour. So they toured in the morning. They went to City of Thousand Oaks. I want to say Simi Valley. Came over to Fillmore, and then they were going to, I think, go to Santa Paula. It was a very busy day. Go to Santa Paula and then wrap up over at the City of Oxnard. And just a quick visit, see the city's hall, council chambers. Thank you to our city manager, Erika, and also to Councilmember Rodriguez for helping facilitate that. And it was great. We were able to talk to the students for about 45 minutes, tell them what our roles are here in the city, both on a city manager administrative role and council member role. And we had a great Q&A, and also the new president of Ventura College happened to come, and this was their place to come and say a few words about how they came to be involved in higher education and really encourage the students to pursue that. So it was a really great event, and hopefully Fillmore can continue to be a part of the civic tour as it happens, and they might happen more frequently and maybe with more youth involved. So that was great. Quick update on the Santa Paula Hospital. So I attended a stakeholder meeting. It was hosted by the CEO of Limonera, Harold Edwards. He was gracious enough to give a space there on the Limonera campus, and it was included, many different stakeholders, elected officials, a lot of county officials as well. And, things are continuing to move forward. There is massive budget cuts at the county healthcare agency, and I believe where things are right now, there was actually a meeting of the Board of Supervisors today. I don't know the outcome of that meeting, but basically the Board of Supervisors were going to hear back what the needs are from the Santa Clara Valley. So 3 months ago, the advocates, the community said, don't make any hard and fast decisions, please, unless before you have the data and the understanding. So today, I believe the board was presented with a lot of data regarding the healthcare needs, particularly the hospital or emergency needs of Santa Clara Valley residents. And I believe the discussions are ongoing, and where I feel from the discussion I heard where things are trending is the hospital will close, and it will close by that retrofit date of between 2030 and 2033. And the hope is that there is something, whether or not it's at the corner of Halleck and 126, or another or several other locations within the Santa Clara Valley, that not a hospital in the size of Santa Paula Hospital, which is currently a 48-bed licensed facility, but something more to scale of what our valley needs. So it was a positive meeting. It was encouraging to bring these stakeholders together, and the stakeholder group will continue to meet. And I think there was great people in the room and a real dedication from the county, from the advocates, from officials, that we're going to work on what the next step is going to be and make sure that we provide for the needs, particularly the emergency needs, the urgent needs for Santa Clara Valley Health residents. So I'll continue to keep the group updated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go.
Sure. I want to use my time here. I just came back from vacation, so I was not active on meetings last week, and it was a much-needed vacation. And so, but I do want to take a minute to respond to some inquiries that I received from constituents following our January 27th meeting. And there were some constituents who were either in the audience or who were watching online, who had misinformation. They were assuming that the council had taken a position on the whole ICE and immigration issue. And there was a lot of information, a lot of comments made from the dais by all council members except for myself. But the concern that I had is that it did cause confusion where people thought that we had taken a stance. So I was fielding some of these calls, and I even got a call after I got back from my vacation about this. So I wanted to clarify and let all constituents know that no, this council as a body has not taken a position, a formal position on the immigration issue or the ICE issue. So I'm addressing that to our constituents, so to clear up any confusion there. And then to my council members, and I just want to say to all of you that we have an absolute right to have opinions on all of these issues that are occurring across the country. We're all entitled to our opinions. But I think what happened last week is that with the voicing positions from the dais led people to think that it was something that was more formal. So we're entitled to our opinions, we're entitled to express our opinions, but what I'd like to point out is that when something, especially something not agendized, which it was not last week, or last meeting, that what we can do as individuals to express our opinion and let our community know is we remove ourselves from the dais, we go down to that podium, and you express your personal opinions on issues that are not agendized. And I think that's the best way to handle these issues, so it stays clear to the constituents that this is not something formal, especially when it was, expressed for such a period of time during this open comment session by council. So anyway, that's the solution, that's the right way to do it, and so I would just ask that in the future when we have issues come up, and if you want to share a personal opinion on something of that sort, then let's do it from the dais. Thank you.
Thank you. And I am going to report that I have been to, just this morning, or this afternoon, I attended the Air Pollution Control Board meeting, and we adopted a resolution authorizing the Ventura County Air Pollution Control District to continue to participate in and accept funding from the California Air Resources Board for the Carl Moyer Memorial Air Quality Standards Attainment Program and the Moyer Program State Reserve, and certify the necessary matching funds which will be provided to obtain Moyer Program and State Reserve funds. What else did we do? And we also reappointed a couple of community members whose terms were coming to an end. So that was about it. We also had a closed session, which I'll report on at our next meeting when I can. But that's all for me. And I also attended the business roundtable with Councilmember Garnica as well. Thank you so much.
Don't have much to report back. Just sharing my experience with the civic tour. It was a great experience being with Councilmember Villaseñor and City Manager Erica. It was just great seeing the young crowd interacting, asking questions, really wanting to learn a little bit about us and governance and community engagement, which to me was a great thing. And I really hope, as Christina mentioned, seeing more of that as the years go by, or semi-annually tours or visits. And yeah, I love to empower our youth with that. So it was a great experience, and I thank everyone who invited me. And so it was a very great experience. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 8, the consent calendar. Can I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item number 9, new business, 9A, fiscal year 2026-2027 budget development guidelines and schedule. Deborah.
So, good evening, council members. Mayor Mendez, I'm Deborah Cavaletto, Finance Director. Item 9A has staff requesting the approval of the budget development guidelines regarding preparation of the FY 2026-27 annual budget for the City of Fillmore and review schedule for preparation and approval of the same annual budget. As stated in the staff report, the City Council provides staff with overall direction for the development of the city's annual budget and approval of the annual schedule. This schedule concludes with the budget adoption. Past policies include adopt and maintain a balanced budget through annual operation revenues meeting or exceeding operating expenses, maintain a general fund reserve to offset economic uncertainty, the continued self-supporting nature of the enterprise funds, such as sewer and water, with adequate revenues to cover all operating expenses. Along the way, city staff, city council, and the budget ad hoc committee will be engaged in the process. In addition to myself, the finance department budget team includes accounting supervisor Amri Tabe and accountant Myra Rosas. This item meets the City Council's goal for fiscal management as good stewards of the public's tax dollar. Alternative to staff recommendation includes approve a revised proposed budget development guidelines and/or the budget development and review schedule, and/or provide staff with another directions. That's the end of my presentation. I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Questions?
I do have a question. I guess it might be a comment to or a suggestion. So, Deborah, thank you for this, and thank you for our guidelines and our dates. And they all work out for me. Like sounds good. But there's just something that I've been thinking about, and actually I spoke with Dave Rollins, our former city manager, about it. I spoke with Erika about it. And this is the idea of having a bit more public engagement about the budget, and not particularly, maybe in the future, digging into the weeds of specific things, but I think that the residents of Fillmore, just to understand sort of our budget process of, we have so much, revenue coming into the city every year. We have so much going out, how it's doled, basically how the budget happens, how it's doled out, really kind of budget 101. I think it would be really wonderful if we were able to, perhaps before the adoption of final budget, maybe when our budget is pretty much set, pretty much set in terms of internally with the departments and how they want to present it out to the public, it would be great to have an informational session. So that's just a recommendation that I have. And I think it falls in line with one of our key goals that we're continuing to do, which is community engagement, transparency, just, in this particular area. We're doing a great area talking about what Public Works is doing and highlighting our fire, our sheriffs. I think it'd be great to also highlight how our finance works in the city. So I'd like to make that suggestion. I don't know if any council members have any ideas about that.
Maybe there's a reels in there somewhere.
Maybe there is a reel in there somewhere, a quick 90-second. Okay, yeah, I like that idea.
Anything else? Anybody? No? Can I have a motion?
I'd like to move that the city council approve the budget development guidelines below regarding preparation of the FY 2026-27 annual budget for the city of Fillmore and approve the attached budget development and review schedule relative to preparation and approval of the FY 2026-27 annual budget.
Thank you. We got a motion. We got a second? Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Moving on to item number 9B, approval of 2026-2027 service level request and 1-year contract extension with Ventura County Animal Services.
Thank you, Mayor. That's my item. Tonight I'm seeking approval for a second-year amendment for a service level request and contract extension for the Ventura County Animal Services. Next slide, please. To give you a background, our original agreement was set from 2022 through 2025. Which includes animal sheltering, field services, and licensing processing. The way how the fees are calculated by all the partner agencies is on a cost allocation base, and it's a 3-year weighted average of the animal intake. And last year, to be specific, on March 10th, I came upon you and requested that we amended this contract for another year, which was approved. Next slide, please. And so today we're here for a second-year amendment request. And the reason of that was because the county with the CEO's office has identified that there is a significant gap in operations and cost that they're not really being able to fund through all the contributions of all the partner agencies. And it's roughly about $2 million. And so rather than rushing the contract negotiations, they want to be good partners with all the cities that are part of this coalition and part of the contract, and have those candid conversations on how that gap is going to be filled. They have been having an increase on they have a nonprofit that they find ways of offsetting some of the revenue through a foundation, and there has been an increase on such foundation, but all the cities have agreed that we'll exercise, if you approve this tonight, a second-year amendment, so that will provide every single city with the ability to renegotiate this contract and something that will be viable for all of the partners. Next slide. Like I mentioned previously, it's a cost shared amongst all the cities that are participants. So it's every city except Thousand Oaks and Santa Paula who are part of this. I just want to make that clear. And it's a percentage of intake. Fillmore is, I believe, at 2.5%, if my memory doesn't fail me. Yeah, we're at actually... Future is at 2%. We were at 2.6 in 2017, so roughly around that percentage, the overall cost. The services provided, as mentioned, are animal sheltering, bordering, veterinary care and treatment, licensing and fee processing, and animal control fees. And if you could just skip 2 slides, that would be great. So the financial impact for this year would be a contribution of $203,102.65. The licensing and redemption, which is the revenue that typically offsets, is going to be $27,710 as projected, which would offset the cost. And then their field services hourly will again have a $15 increase, which would bring it from $145, which is the current rate, to $160. The changes would just be exercising a second-year amendment so that this would be effective through June 30th of 2027. A higher hourly rate services for field services, and just capturing what happened last year and this year. The first amendment was because there was a new director hired and he wanted to have a better understanding of the operations. I think now he does. But now we're at the situation where we have to start having those conversations about how the gap funding is going to be met. So tonight I'm just asking for that second year amendment approval and to authorize that service level agreement so that we can ensure that the residents continue receiving services. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Erica.
You're welcome.
So Erica, just really, in summary, basically what we're doing is we're extending the existing contract with no substantial change in the amount that we're paying for the.
It's a very
Right.
a minimal, it's 5% to
Right.
be specific, but
Okay.
yes, you're correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
I do have a question, and again, I'm not sure if you know this. So the cities of Santa Paula and Thousand Oaks are not part of this because they are all in-house. They don't in any way use Ventura
So
County Animal
Thousand
Services.
Oaks contracts with LA.
Oh,
And
oh,
it's
they
just-
do?
yeah.
I remember asking this question last year, if we could.
And
Thousand Oaks contracts with the city of Los Angeles or the county of Los Angeles?
I don't know whether it's the city or the county. I just know that they're part of LA. I think it's probably the county of LA that oversees their animal services. And Santa Paula just they do their own. They go through nonprofits, and I think they were looking at it, but I don't want to speak on their behalf.
Okay, okay, that's interesting about Thousand Oaks. I guess my comment would be then that I thought I brought this up the last time, maybe the last year, that when this contract came up, or sometime, of just the high cost, it seems, and if there was the ability to look at contracting with LA County and possibly going sort of that east on the 126 towards Castaic.
One thing though with like Thousand Oaks, they do have a big animal shelter in Agoura Hills, and I think it's just the proximity.
Oh, okay.
Where, you know, if we were to contract out with Castaic, I think the distance would probably be a bit further out, but I believe that staff did look into it in previous years from conversations with the past city manager, and they were not interested. But I mean, if that's your direction tonight, we can explore it for future. But you know, we do receive good service from the county. They have been good partners with us, and I understand the cost is, you know, has substantially increased over the past 5 years, but everything is increasing too, you know, and they do have that funding gap that we're all trying to put our thinking caps and figure out how can we overcome that shortage.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that update.
Anybody else? Can I entertain a motion?
I will make a motion that the city council approve a one-year contract extension amending the original agreement with Ventura County Animal Services, including the 26-27 service level request for Ventura County Animal Services to continue providing animal services to the city residents.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item 9C, authorization of a professional services agreement with Arroyo Irrigation to assist in the modernization of irrigation controllers citywide and NBSP. North.
Good evening. Staff's recommendation for this item is that the City Council authorize a professional services agreement with Arroyo Irrigation in an amount not to exceed $40,000 to support the modernization of the irrigation controller system citywide in a form approved by the city attorney. The city currently maintains over 100 acres of landscaped area, using approximately 265 acre-feet of water annually at a cost of several $100,000. Modernizing the city's irrigation controller with current technology is expected to significantly improve operational efficiency, reduce staff time dedicated to irrigation management, and lower costs. Industry data indicates that advanced irrigation control systems can reduce water use by 30% or more when fully implemented. This effort is the logical next step in the city's, following the city's recent smart water meter conversion project. Arroyo Irrigation has assisted staff in reviewing the city's existing irrigation controller inventory and identified some suitable modernization options. The proposed agreement would provide a comprehensive service, including irrigation consulting, design services, and construction documents, design review, and development of current or city standards, central control system selection and programming, irrigation audits, and water management support. The project is funded through the 25-26 Capital Water Improvement Fund, which includes a $200,000 allocation for the irrigation controller upgrade project. The proposed $40,000 agreement is within the approved budget and requires no additional appropriation. Our city engineer, Roxanne Hughes, has worked with the Arroyo Irrigation for another city doing the same type of work that we're about to embark upon. I'd like to ask Roxanne to come up and share her experience working with Arroyo Irrigation and the process that we'll be taking in the coming months.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I met Gary at Arroyo Irrigation a few years ago. I've worked with him on a couple of different assignments, and he does one thing, and he does it well. He does irrigation systems. He knows grass, he knows plants, trees, how different irrigation models. He works with all the vendors for all of the modern irrigation control systems, central control. I've never met anyone as knowledgeable as him, and he just, whatever the topic is, he's aware of it. And so he was extremely helpful in analyzing what's available to us and what's the best fit for our city to get the most bang for our buck and to be able to, like right now, our irrigation system, as Joe mentioned, we're irrigating 100 acres. That includes our parks, right? And we have a hodgepodge of different kinds of controllers at different locations. Some of them, they're all different models, different abilities, and they don't all work as well as they should. A lot of them are very old. And then there's the flow meters that go with the irrigation controllers. And so we successfully went to modernized technology with our new smart water meters. And that's a wonderful step, and it gives us much more control, and every resident much more control over their water bill and whether or not it's leaking and whether or not, we're capturing the appropriate amounts of revenues. This would take our irrigation, our landscape irrigation, into the modern world of centralized. We're talking if an irrigation pipe breaks, then staff gets a beep on their phone going, hey, water's running and it's not supposed to be, and with the push of a button, we can turn that off from our living room. And so there's a lot of technology out there. It would be a rollout that would be a recurring year over year, chip away at it, and the first steps this first year, we'll be making some decisions on what's the right system for Fillmore. And Gary would be working with us as staff to identify what our options are, bring it forward to you for decision making, and then we would start a replacement program where we do groups of them year over year until we get the whole city on the system. And it will save water. It really does increase efficiency, reduce water use, reduce the water use, which reduces the cost of our parks maintenance, but also frees up time in labor and response for the maintenance crew. It's been a project that we've identified that we've wanted to do for a while, and I think we have all the right players to attack this, and I think Arroyo Irrigation is the right partner for the city of Fillmore. I'll answer any questions.
Thank you.
Roxanne, could you give me an estimate, approximately time and dollars, since this would be, obviously, this is just the planning stage. I'm not going to hold you to any, like, obviously dollars and cents here, but just a ballpark time frame for completion for going to this modernized irrigation system, as well as a ballpark, just again, an order of magnitude is probably within, would be sufficient.
Yeah, I had envisioned this at spending $200,000 to $250,000 a year for probably 4 or 5 years. That gets us probably somewhere between 5 and 10 controllers a year, because some of them are more robust and the controller itself costs around $10,000, and some of them for like just parkways are like $3,000 for the controller itself. And then you have the implementation and making the controller parts and the mapping of it. And so all in, the $200,000 is the planning and to maybe do the first group of controllers hopefully this year. And then probably continuing to budget in that $200,000 to $250,000 range, depending on, we'll prioritize where we're going to get the most bang for our buck first and do those controllers first, and then roll through the rest of the city based on, but it's going to be a recurring project for several years at around that price range.
So just to reiterate, what I think I heard was 200, 250K per year for 4 to 5 years.
Yeah,
Is that right?
it's probably going to be about $1 million in expenditures, because in addition to the controllers, we usually end up having to get flow meters that are the supersonic ones that work best with the new irrigation system.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Just on to clarify that then, so this 40K for the irrigation. This is again planning year, getting and then for so we're currently budgeted for 200,000, and so you see that basically every 250K for the next few years to budget that within our water improvement fund.
Yes.
Okay.
And expecting to try and spend the rest of the 160 this year on actually starting
it. Okay, that was going to be my next question of what to do with the remainder. I just figured it would roll over into when it was needed, but you're saying let's start it and use it within this budget.
If we can get there before the end of the fiscal year, we'll use it, and if not, we'll request for it to roll over.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Seeing no more questions, can I entertain a motion, please?
Okay, I'll move that the City Council authorize the professional services agreement with Arroyo Irrigation to update and assist in the modernization of irrigation controllers citywide in a form approved by the City Attorney.
Okay, we got a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, aye. Motion passes.
Okay,
Any
thank
nays?
you.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to 9D, adoption of ordinance number 26-991, increasing city council salaries.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
I'm requesting your approval tonight for the first reading of ordinance 26991 to increase the city council salary from $600 to $950 a month, effective January 1 of 2027. And just for quick background for those constituents that were not aware of how this came about, the past 2 meetings, there has been discussion and we provided data of other comparison cities that the city uses. And at the last meeting, after providing that data, the council gave us direction to bring this forward for your approval tonight. So that concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? No? Can I have a motion?
Okay, I'll move that the City Council approve the first reading of ordinance number 26-991, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Fillmore, California, amending Chapter 2.16 of the Fillmore Municipal Code to increase council members' salaries.
Here we got a motion and a second.
Second?
Okay, motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item 9E, First Amendment to the 2025 City Manager Employment Agreement between City of Fillmore and Erika Herrera. First Amendment to the 2025 City Manager Employment Agreement.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm presenting this item. After the City Council conducted its performance evaluation and review of the city manager at its 2 meetings in January on the 13th and the 27th, the City Council authorized the mayor to negotiate a compensation increase with the city manager. The mayor and I had that conversation with the city manager, and the final terms are what was memorialized and is before the council tonight. It makes 3 changes to her contract. First, it increases her auto allowance from $385 a month to $500 a month. Second, it increases her annual compensation to $253,800 per year. And the third is like a language cleanup change that softens the requirement for where she needs to work during city office hours so that she doesn't always have to be at City Hall when she's working. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions?
No questions, just a comment. I just want to thank our city manager for doing the fantastic job that she's doing. And this is just a well-deserved increase. You hit the ground running, and I certainly appreciate it. I know the other council members do, and you haven't missed a beat. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I just want to ditto what our Councilmember Broggie said. You're doing a great job, and you're on top of every project. And I get emails from you when I'm not supposed to get emails from you. But I thank you so much, because that just shows that you're dedicated and you got that passion for the city, and I really appreciate it. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I could add to that, Erica, I mean, you know, to me, it's just very, I'm very happy that we're able to offer this to you, and that we came to an agreement, because I think you're a natural fit for Fillmore, and I think I can speak for the whole council when I say that we all of us together are very, very pleased with the work you've done, and we see this as a reflection of that.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just echo all of my council members' comments. So thank you, Erica. It's been a pleasure to work with you these last few years, and the city of Fillmore's future always looks bright, and it looks bright with you as the helm here within our city organization. So thank you.
Well, they said all the good stuff, and echo everything they're saying. You know, just me sitting here in this chair for a little bit, you made it so pleasant. Made me feel like it's very seamless with not just with you, but also your team, and how your team is very receptive, and they're just, okay, we're on it, and you can just feel the happiness. And I always believe that leadership reflects on the way that people feel, and if the people feel good, I mean that you're doing a really good job. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your trust. I always say that it's with a humble heart that I am able to lead this community and this team. So I appreciate that faith that you have in me. I will continue to work hard and continue to lead the team. Thank you, staff, because I would not be successful without your support. So I recognize each and one of you, and I thank you for that as well. And it is a privilege to continue to serve the community of Fillmore. So thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you. Okay. We can vote on it already?
I think we have to make a motion.
Yeah.
Yes.
To adopt the
Motion?
resolution to approve the contract. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, John.
Okay. I was going to say, I'd like to make a motion that the City Council adopt resolution number 26-4094 to approve the First Amendment to the 2025 City Manager Employment Agreement between the City of Fillmore and Erica Herrera.
Okay, we got a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item number 10, the city manager verbal report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to request Joe Balomo to provide you with an update, a brief update on Well 10, and then he's going to also provide an update on the C Street closure and the sewer infrastructure work. And then shortly after he's done, Manuel Minjares is going to come up and provide you with the status update on the ERF grant implementation. And then we have some other updates that I'll give you afterwards. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. So the 24-hour drilling started a bit late. We started at 5 p.m. on Saturday. Progress, I mean, we're still on top of boulders and cobble. Progress has been slow because of that, but as of 6 p.m., we're at 353 feet below ground surface. Two items that we've been very concerned about at the beginning of the 24-hour drilling was light spillage and obviously the noise that's created from the drilling operation. So I'm happy to say that I spent the first 24 hours with the well and the crew, and the sound wall and the shielding that they included around the drill tower, the rig tower, which they have lights so they can see up and see which cable is being pulled or, indications of a problem, stuff like that. So they need to have, if you imagine this, this box shape, derrick, they need to have eyes on one side of it. And all the lights that are up on the derrick could cause light spillage out. So they did a very good job of positioning the rig such that the side that they need to have open, that they need to see, they need to pull pipe up with, faces the school. So all the light spillage that is going to happen on that derrick, no matter what we do, is directed towards the school. On all the other three sides that are surrounded by the neighboring, homes are completely blocked. There is no light spillage. It was, one of the pictures I sent the city manager to verify the light spillage showed that our street lights shine brighter into people's homes than the project. So I was happy about that, but it gave me something else to think about. So the next thing that we were concerned about was the noise level. And again, I'm happy to report that the noise level that we took just outside of the sound wall gates, so if you imagine we have this big sound wall, the derrick is right behind it, which is what causes the most noise. I'm on the street side, on the property line, just in front of it. It measured which comparable to a quiet street. So, so far, there hasn't been too much of an issue. But I get,
Joe, real quick, have there been actually any complaints from residents?
I'm getting to that one, but
Okay.
yeah. So, but yeah, there's been 2 calls. One came in after the Super Bowl. It was a non-specific number. When I called it back, I got no response. It went to an answering service that was nonsensical. It reminded me of a telemarketer, so I think it might have been a telemarketer. The second call came in at 6 p.m. tonight, and the complaint was primarily vibrations. There was, a noise component to it, but it seems like the chief complaint was vibrations. So I told the constituent that we had changed out the drill head to a button type, which has a little bit more surface and it's a little bit more quiet. They changed that out because it's, we're on top of boulders and cobble, and it's beaten the rig apart because of all the, the movement that's causing. So, one of the benefits from this new drill head is that it's a little bit quieter. It doesn't bounce around. The drill rig is not going to, be clanking and stuff like that. So, she was happy to hear about that. And she did acknowledge that it did seem quieter when we were talking. So I made a promise to go out there tomorrow and take a look at some other issues that she brought up while we were on the phone, unrelated to the project. And that if it continued, if the vibrations and noise continued through the night, that I'd take a look at, the situation, see what the vibrations, what it was like inside of her home, and take the drill rig foreman with me, see if we can, what can be done or what it can be attributed to. So another big concern that I had, that I expressed to you all on the 27th city council meeting was the alignment of our well, of our casing. If it's out of plumb, a lot of problems will happen. We'll get dog-legged wellhead, and it'll cause the pipe, when we start pulling water out, to rub against the screen. So it's getting a well that's straight as possible is the goal. So our spec included a drift survey, at certain intervals. So they did two, so far they've done 2 drift surveys, and they're all within spec, so that's the good news. And I don't anticipate issues, but we still have a couple hundred more feet to go. So that's that project. I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys have about that project. The other one, the sewer upgrade. This is a Williams Homes offsite sewer improvement project. It started, the first phase ran from El Paseo up to Sespe, replaced that line. The segment that we're on right now, it replaces the line and places 2, junction structures just north of Falcon Way, and runs up to Old Telegraph Road. And then the second part of this current phase is going underneath the railroad crossing. That is done through a jack and bore operation, just like we did with the C Street sewer emergency project. The other option was to trench across the open trench across the railroad, which it wasn't a viable option from the get-go, nor would the railroad accept something like that. So the jack and bore leaves 2 very big pits open. Nothing, these pits are so great that they can't be just covered up at the end of the day. So the only way to handle it was to allow a 24-hour permanent closure from north of Old Telegraph Road to Hawthorne, just north of that. So that segment that includes the railroad crossing is now closed to through traffic. They say they need 2 months. When I look at their schedule, I think we could start talking to them in 2 weeks. That's when they're planning to pull out bracing and close up those boreholes. So I'll probably have some more to share with you all at the next city council meeting on that issue. Actually, I won't be here, so I'll have Roxanne present on that, the update. But yeah, we'll start talking to them. They move very quick, and that's we got behind the messaging on that project because they move so quick. They were on the lower part of this current phase, Falcon Way to Old Telegraph, which is a very manageable traffic control. And then they jumped, they got that done so quick, they jumped into the permanent closure area. The other part of it, the first part of it, Falcon Way to Old Telegraph, is an intermittent closure. So they'll be going back to that, once the jack and bore operation is done. They've still got to put in the manhole junction structures and replace the pipe in there. So they just unearthed it, got it prepped for what they need to go back and end up doing. And then at the end of all of this, they're going to cap it. They're going to put a nice road surface on top of it. So that's basically where we're at right now. We have an intermittent closure from Falcon Way up to Old Telegraph, and we have a hard closure from Old Telegraph to Hawthorne, which is 3rd Street too. And they're asking for 2 months, but we're going to be negotiating in 2 weeks on getting that thing opened again.
Hey, Joe, I have a question. Is there going to be more digging towards Good Enough, towards 4th Street or more down the road, or is it just going to be between good enough and what is it, 3rd Street Telegraph?
There's a drop hole or a manhole going to be going in at Hawthorne, and that's the northern limit of the project. So, yeah, that's where it's going to end.
Okay.
These were problematic undersized segments that was a condition put on Williams Homes. If they want to have that kind of sewer loading, then they need to upsize. They need to upgrade the line. Yeah.
I have the history. So this is part of the North Fillmore specific plan, not adding to the capacity issue in the existing sewers that go under the railroad tracks at B Street, the B Street overload. And so in order to develop in the North Fillmore specific plan area, there were off-site sewer improvements that were identified a long time ago that would need to be built before any homes could go up in North Fillmore. And that's what this project is. So they're adding a new sewer that didn't exist underneath the railroad tracks. They're connecting to the existing sewer system at Hawthorne and Good Enough Road. And right, that's good enough? Yeah. And they're gonna basically disconnect the part that went down towards B Street and send that existing neighborhood down the new path down C Street. And all of the new homes in Williams Homes, track 6053, will be able to cross under the tracks at C Street and go all the way to our sewer plant and the newly upgraded C Street crossing of the highway and to the plant. So it alleviates the capacity on B Street and doesn't add any more sewage to B Street. So that's what all of this is about. It's a major sewer infrastructure improvement that's been on the books for a very long time, and it allows development in North Fillmore specific plan area.
Thank you, Roxanne.
I have one more question regarding costs. I know that some of the neighbors were talking about it potentially, increasing sewage costs for this entire city. Is that correct? Or it sounds like more Williams Homes type of?
It's DIF, development impact fee money that's paying for it. I don't imagine it would. Yeah, cost increases.
And also,
Sewer
we
rates.
have to go through a process. There's a study typically done, so we are not anticipating anything at this current time, and we would let you know. But I can see that being a concern from the constituents, but at this given time, there is no anticipation of that happening. Like I said, we would have to go through a study, and there's a Prop 218 process that has to be followed in order for an increase to be approved, and it comes before you.
When Joe says it's development impact fee funded, it is, like I mentioned, the North Fillmore specific plan identified this as an off-site improvement that was required to be built by the developers to support development in that specific plan area. So it's fully funded through the developers. And what Williams Home, as first in, they're building the whole thing, and then they will get some credits for, because they only are like 34%, but they're building the whole thing. And so that'll take care of their portion of what they owe on the development impact fee. And then the other future developers will owe the sewer enterprise payback, because we'll give Williams Homes credit for the other 66% to pay them back for installing it. But it's installed, but it's all developer funded. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Roxanne. Manny?
Mayor, members of the council, quick update on the ERF grant. Our case managers continue to work in the watershed with the homeless encampment there. They're working specifically with two homeless individuals at the moment that are accepting help and are taking rides to One Stop, are going on rides with them to food pantries in Fillmore to get food. So they're developing those relationships. They've also been spending time touring local shelters in the county and looking for potential housing, be it emergency or interim sheltering. For the next 2 weeks, our case managers will be going through training for the homeless management information system and other outreach and homeless services related training. The other update that I'd like to give you is we've been working with Fillmore Irrigation Company, who owns the property where the majority of the homeless encampments are located on. And we are, I think as of today, we have signed a right of entry agreement so that when we do contract with an encampment cleanup contractor, we'll have all the necessary documents that we'll need to enter the property and perform a cleanup, hopefully by this month. And so, that's my update as of today. And I look forward to providing you future updates at future council meetings.
Thank you, Manny.
Sure. Thank you, Manny. Manny, can you?
Oh, I forgot to mention one more thing, and then I'll take a question from you, Mayor. Today we did. I worked with Angel to create a web page, and that web page does include information about the ERF grant. The type of services that are being conducted up there. And hopefully we'll give the community an opportunity to learn more about the grant and what our objectives are. And then as time goes, we'll be able to add additional information on that grant, such as, the amount of funds that have been expended and the number of individuals that have been housed.
That's great news. Thank you. I had a question. I know where the property is at that you mentioned, where the right of entry, but for those that don't, can you be more specific where that property is located?
Sure. In trying to describe the area, so if you would center yourself in town near Vaughn's, the Vaughn's Shopping Center, and head southbound on the 23 near the bridge, Caltrans owned bridge, there's a property that's commonly referred to as Sunken Village, and that property is within outside of the city's boundaries. But just south of Sunken Village, where, in an area that has a lot of arundo, that's where the majority of the encampment is. And the encampment heads back southward towards the Caltrans Bridge. From the point-in-time homeless count, it looks like Caltrans has been out there to perform a cleanup of their own compared to the last time I saw it, so that's really positive. And then there's also a portion of the encampment that heads where there's 2 more camps east of the main encampment, and there are also 2 camps west of the encampment, close to our former sewer plant site. And so we have 2 encampments there as well. We'll be providing services to them as well.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Manny.
Thank you.
I'm happy to report that the fire department did issue a timeline for the weed abatement. We did publish that on our website. Thank you, Chief Garola and fire team. Angel also issued a press release, which was posted on the Gazette and on all of our social media channels. Just want to remind the constituents to keep an eye on the timeline. I know it's starting to feel like spring, but sometimes it feels like winter, like tonight. So, as everything starts to bloom again, just to keep up with your abatement, and they're going to start looking at the properties on April 1st, and we'll continue to remind the constituents about that. The business roundtable now will be held monthly, and it will be on the first Monday of every month. Our next meeting is scheduled on March 2nd. We will make sure to continue to remind all the business owners, and it will be at the theater. And I also want to provide you with the street maintenance update, also all the potholes that our fantastic Public Works team has taken care of. So for the last 3 weeks, there has been a total of 488 potholes that have been filled. Thank you, Public Works. Thank you, crew. I know that it's not the most fun job to do. It's hard work, and we recognize that, and thank you for your commitment. The residents are very happy about it, so continue the great job.
Thank you, Erica. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to say, can you repeat that number one more time? It went by really quick.
488 potholes.
488 potholes. And what time period?
Starting the week of January 20th through today, so 3 weeks.
Okay, very impressive. Thank you.
And lastly, we will be closed on Friday because it's a regular closed Friday, but then Monday also is a holiday. So just reminding you that if you have any city business to stop by Thursday, we have posted that information on all of our outlets. So just a reminder, and that concludes our updates.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 11, closed session. The City Council will now convene to closed session for existing litigation. Thank you. Are you ready?
We're here. We got three. There's three of us.
Okay. Council met in closed session and was updated, and no reportable action. We will see you all at our next scheduled meeting on February 24th, 2026 at 6:30 PM. Thank you and good night.